All right, so we got a real special guest here on the FITSNews live feed today. We've got Brandy whose timeline on the Murdaugh murders, double homicide, has literally blown up social media. Brandy, did you ever expect that this was going to explode the way that it has?
Look, I didn't even do my first tweet until Friday. So no, I had no idea. I thought maybe 5 to 10 people would see it. I had no idea it was going to blow up.
A few more than that have seen it. In fact, looking at some of the numbers here, we're getting in the thousands now of people that are viewing this and commenting on it. It's just an incredibly detailed piece of work here. But before we get into it, tell us just a little bit about you, who you are, and sort of how you came to know this case.
Yeah, I am originally from Georgia. I'm living in Florida now. I got sick a couple years ago, so I had a lot of time on medical leave and started really getting into, I've always been into true crime, but I started really getting into podcasts, and I started hearing about all of this. And every time you turn around, there's some kind of twist and turn. And so it's been a roller coaster, and I couldn't let it go. So I have a friend who lives in Charleston area, and she and I have always texted back and forth talking about it, and we kind of just got hooked.
Well, absolutely. Well, talking us through this amazing timeline. For those of you who haven't seen it, we're going to pull it up on the screen a little bit so our readers and our audience can take a look here, Brandy. But walk us. This is literally a second by second
Yes.
account that you're pulling, and tell us a little bit about the sources you're pulling. This is all stuff that's been introduced in evidence. Walk us through sort of where you're pulling your info.
Yeah, so I've been following the trial online, and I was sitting here trying to go through it because all along I've had my theories, but now that we're getting all of the data on everything, I'm in a couple different groups on social media where everybody's talking about it and everybody's theories, and nobody can agree on anything. And one of the biggest things that I've heard is, there was no time, that he could not have had time. So I took all of the testimony that they've given. I sat there and entered it all into spreadsheets as I was listening to it. All of the, from the car data to the cell phones to the cell towers. And then I, layered it all in, plugged it all in together, and then kind of built the story around it on what my theories are, filled in the holes there.
Well, tell us, just so our audience is aware, you've got a theory. Tell us what your theory is on what happened that night, June 7, 2021 at Moselle. What do you think went down?
I do have a theory. And seeing everything mapped out, what I think happened, I think that after they ate dinner, they went out to the kennels. I think that she took, they took Bubba with them. Bubba went and got, the chicken in his mouth. I think that he told her to go put Bubba in the kennels. And as soon as she put Bubba up, I think that's when he took the opportunity. He followed Paul into the feed room or the storage shed, whatever they call it. And I think that's when he shot her. And I think that, then he turned and got Maggie. One of the biggest questions that people keep bringing up is the clothes. Well, there was no blood on the khakis. There was no blood on the khakis. But I think that he also wasn't wearing the same shirt. So I think that when he got home from work, when you map it out, there's, I can't remember, it was 10 to 15 minutes that he's home by himself before Paul gets there. And he obviously had on a different shirt. I think that he changed his entire outfit. So I think that that's why they were clean khakis. I think that the outfit that he had on in the Snapchat video was a different pair of khakis than the ones that Blanca found the next morning. So I think that he took those clothes that have never been seen again. And I think that he had this already mapped down his head. He bagged them up. When he left for his mom's, the car data shows that he stopped he drove for a minute and then stopped for a minute and then came home. And I think that that was him going to the smoke shed to stash the clothes and the guns to come back and get them a few days later and dispose of them.
Well, and again, like you said, those clothes have never been seen again. Also, those weapons have never been seen again. Let me ask you this, Brandy. So many people have asked for your spreadsheet. Not
Yeah.
only the first one you did, but this updated one. They've asked for it to actually be introduced in evidence. They think it's so
Mm-hmm.
compelling. As you've watched this trial, do you think the state has done a good job of putting a narrative out there for these jurors, something that follows a progression like your timeline does, or do you think that they've still got work to do on that front?
I think that they've definitely laid foundation, but I think that right now it's all bricks. It's kind of like if you're looking at a pile of bricks, it's still not a wall. It's still not making sense. So if I were a juror and I didn't have any of the background information and all I had heard was the testimony, I would not have any idea what's going on. And I think that was kind of the reason that I took the time to do the spreadsheet, because I think even those of us who know a lot of the backstory still couldn't put it all together. And until you see it laid out and see the inconsistencies and, you know, the different things that he tells law enforcement at different times and the things that he's, you know, not honest about, I think until you see it all come together, you really don't know, you know, if it was possible or not.
You mentioned earlier the time that he had available to change and to with the clothes and all that. What's something else as you went through this again, second by second, that sort of pointed you to this theory that, hey, this is the guy that did this?
You know, one of the things is he said that he did not go out to the kennels. There was, you know, 3 different interviews where he said after dinner, you know, he laid down and took a nap. He said that he was looking at his phone and watching TV, but there's no phone data. And there was also unread text messages about his terminally ill father. So if you're laying down looking at your phone and you know that you're getting messages about your terminally ill father, that would be one of the first things you would open. So then hearing his voice in the kennels, it puts him at the murder scene within minutes of their actual murders. And for him to, you know, there's no way he could be out there and then get to his car and leave and not have seen somebody. And even if it was possible, why would he lie to everybody about being out there?
Absolutely. And one of the things you've done that's so amazing, everyone obviously heard that cell phone testimony. They heard that vehicular data testimony, but until no one had layered all this together in something that was just so, again, well organized, layered, like you said earlier. It's been a real service to this case, Brandi. And I know you've taken a little bit of grief from some folks who didn't agree with your theory, but they sure can't disagree with just the skill with which you put this thing together. I want to thank you for being willing to share it with us. Obviously, guys, if you're not following Brandi, can I give them your Twitter handle, Brandi?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Sure.
If you're not already, and I see you're getting those followers racking up here, Brandi, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you're not already following Brandi Churchwell on Twitter, I'm going to go ahead and give you the handle. It's at Brandi, and that's BRANDIN Church, CHURCH. Brandi Churchwell, and again on Twitter, that's at Brandi, BRANDIN Church, CHURCH. Brandi, just amazing work. I want to thank you for not only doing this, but for taking the time to share it with our audience. And as you keep updating these spreadsheets, will you keep us in the loop on what you post?
I sure will.
All right. Well, keep us up to speed, Brandi. We really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.